Subscribe to my YouTube channel, share it with your friends, and comment your thoughts. The bell rang. Not the one in her head, the actual bell. Loud, metal, final. Zoe blinked once, then twice. Across the mat, the 80-kilo fighter, muscles like coiled rope, face slick with sweat, grinned at her like she was a warm-up routine. Not an opponent, just a girl playing dress-up. The laughter hadn't stopped since she entered the gym. The place reeked of sweat, testosterone, and ridicule. "You sure you're in the right place, princess?" Someone had called earlier. "She's probably here to hold towels," another voice shouted. A third, "Better call an ambulance, for her." She had walked in alone. No coach, no gear bag, just a crumpled pair of gloves slung over one shoulder. No cheering friends, no clue what they were walking into, except she did know. And she was ready, but her body had other plans. Heart pounding so hard, she thought it might punch its way out of her ribs. She could hear the blood in her ears louder than the insults. Her legs, numb, her hands, shaking. Her mouth was dry as bone. The fighter across from her raised his gloves lazily, like he wasn't even taking this seriously. "Don't worry, sweetheart," he said loud enough for the crowd. "I'll go easy on you, maybe." The bell rang. Zoe barely had time to breathe before he charged. She ducked the first punch. Pure instinct. The second grazed her shoulder. It felt like being hit with a steel beam. She stumbled back, eyes wide. The crowd laughed again. "You're wasting everyone's time," someone shouted. Another voice, crueler. "Who let the charity case in? She should have walked away, should have stopped this madness before it began." But she didn't, because she wasn't here to win. She was here for revenge. 10 days earlier, Zoe sat on a plastic chair in a back room of Iron Core Gym, holding a frozen bag of peas to her swollen cheek. She could still taste the blood in her mouth. It wasn't even her first time. "You need to quit," said Marla, the only person who treated her like a human here. Marla was 30-something, built like a tank with tattoos coiled around her biceps, but soft-spoken in the way mothers sometimes are when they're too tired to yell. "I'm not quitting," Zoe said. "You're not learning anything either," Marla replied. "You don't even have a coach, and the guys, they're not sparring with you, they're using you. You're their damn punching bag." Zoe didn't respond. She just pressed the peas harder against her cheek. Marla crouched in front of her. "What are you trying to prove, huh?" Zoe's voice was flat. "Nothing. That was a lie. She was trying to prove everything." 6 months earlier, she had been engaged, living with a man named Adrian, a tall, charming startup founder. Said he loved her, said she was his piece in a chaotic world, until she found the texts, until she walked in on him training a younger woman in their garage-turned-gym, until she realized that woman was only 19 and calling him Coach Daddy. She'd left that night, no money, no plan, just rage. The next morning she was sleeping in her car, and that same afternoon she walked into Iron Core Gym with 2 things: her old gloves from college, dusty and cracked, a boiling storm of pain inside her chest that no therapy could touch. Back to the ring. Present day. Zoe dodged left, then ducked. Under a wild swing. Her opponent was strong but sloppy. His overconfidence left him open. Wide open. He threw another punch, big, theatrical, designed to finish her in one hit. She pivoted. Just like Marla taught her last week in secret, the guy missed completely, and for a second he stumbled. Zoe stepped forward. Her fist moved faster than her brain. Crack, right in his jaw. The sound was sharp and sickening, like wood splitting. The 80 kilos fighter froze, eyes wide in shock. He swayed once, then hit the mat like a tree falling in the forest. Dead silence. It was the kind of silence that happens in the instant before reality catches up. The kind where no one knows if they should clap, cry, or call for help. Marla, who had sneaked in to watch from the back, covered her mouth. Zoe stood over him, chest heaving. Blood ran down her knuckles. She didn't even remember hitting him that hard. The referee, an old man with crooked glasses, ran over, started counting. The fighter didn't move. 10! He shouted. Then the gym exploded into chaos. Wait, what the hell just happened? Did she actually knock him out? That guy outweighs her by like 30 kilo. Is he okay? Check his jaw. Someone call an ambulance. Zoe didn't move. Her eyes scanned the room, and for the first time, no one was laughing. Hours later, she sat outside the gym on the curb, hands wrapped in ice and tape. The sky was dark, air thick with the kind of humidity that clings like guilt. Marla sat beside her. "You know that guy you knocked out?" she asked. Zoe shrugged. "Don't even know his name." "He's one of the owner's golden boys. They were grooming him for tournaments, sponsors. He was supposed to be a big deal." Zoe looked down at her swollen knuckles. "Oops." Marla gave a short laugh, then grew quiet. "You're going to have a target on your back now. You embarrassed them. Badly." Zoe finally looked at her. "Good." Marla nodded slowly. "You're not here to learn boxing, are you?" Zoe didn't answer. Marla leaned in. "Tell me, what really happened to you?" And for the first time, Zoe spoke. She told Marla everything. The fake love, the cheating, the training sessions where Adrian used her as a test dummy, mocking her mistakes. How he called her soft. How he used her trauma as motivation during his own workouts. "Push harder, babe. You cry like that again, I'll add another set." And finally, the night she caught him. The slap, the smirk, the words burned into her brain. "You'll never survive without me." She looked Marla dead in the eye. "I'm not training to win. I'm training to destroy him, in front of everyone." Marla was quiet for a long time. Then, "All right, but you do it my way. No more street sparring, no more suicide drills alone. If you want to fight him, you learn how to fight right." Zoe blinked. "You'll train me? Only if you shut up and listen." The next morning, a new chapter began. Marla was relentless. No compliments, no pity, no breaks. She trained Zoe in secret during off hours. 5 a.m., bag work, noon shadow boxing, late night sparring in the old warehouse next to the gym, endurance, defense, power, technique, and most of all, control. "You don't punch to hurt," Marla would growl. "You punch to finish every time. No wasted emotion." Zoe's body broke down daily, but something inside her rebuilt stronger. She could feel it happening, the way grief turned to rage, rage turned to focus, and focus into precision. Back to present day. Zoe lay in bed that night, her phone buzzing non-stop. Clips of the knockout had already gone viral in fight groups. Some were calling it a fluke, others said it was rigged. But the majority, they were calling her a rising beast. Marla texted only one thing. "That was only round one. Don't let it get to your head." Zoe stared at the message, then scrolled. The old thread with Adrian. Her finger hovered over his name. He hadn't messaged her in months. She tapped. Started a message, deleted it, typed again, then sent, "Your favorite gym. Yeah, I knocked out your poster boy. See you in the ring soon, Coach Daddy." Cliffhanger Adrian replies, but not with a challenge. Instead, he offers Zoe a deal. A chance to fight in the underground arena he secretly runs, where real fights happen and real consequences follow. But there's a catch. To even qualify, she has to defeat 3 of his elite fighters, each one with a personal grudge against her. The message came at 3:12 a.m. "You knocked out Dario. Cute. Want the real fight? Come where men don't wear gloves to impress YouTube. Prove it wasn't luck." Zoe stared at her phone, fingers curling. Adrian. It had been 6 months since she'd heard from him. Not a word, not an apology, nothing. And now this. She stared at the message until her knuckles ached. She typed back 2 words, "Where and when." The reply came instantly. "Friday, midnight, 154 Mercer Street. Come alone." No emojis, no taunts, just coordinates. And a warning, Marla wasn't going to like this. Friday, 11:43 p.m. Mercer Street was dead quiet. No traffic, no people, just Zoe standing alone under a flickering street lamp in black sweats and worn-down sneakers. The building was nothing, just an old laundromat with the windows boarded shut. A metal door stood slightly open. A shadow moved behind it. Zoe stepped forward. "You sure you want to do this?" asked a voice behind her. She turned. "Marla, I didn't tell you because I knew you'd say no," Zoe replied. "I am saying no," Marla snapped. "That place isn't a gym. It's a graveyard for people with something to prove. I don't want your permission. I want your blessing." Marla shook her head, eyes stormy. Then, slowly, she reached into her coat and handed Zoe a mouthguard. 3 fights. That's what he's setting up. Win all 3 and he'll face you. Zoe narrowed her eyes. "You knew?" Marla's voice dropped. "I used to fight there years ago. It's not boxing, it's punishment." Zoe clenched her fists. "Good." Inside the building, the noise hit like a wall. The underground cage was below the laundromat, down 2 iron stairwells, and through a hallway lined with old fight posters and bloodstains. The crowd was thick, rowdy, mostly men, drunk on beer and violence. They shouted bets, pounded fists against the steel fencing, and jeered at the ring girl in fishnets. Zoe stood behind the gate, heart pounding in her throat. Adrian stood across the room on a raised platform, arms folded, chin high, flanked by 2 smug-looking men in suits. He looked exactly the same, tan, handsome, shark-like. He raised a glass in mock salute when their eyes met. "First up," called the announcer. "We got the new girl who dropped Ironcore's golden boy last week." "Zoe, no chance, Lang!" The crowd roared with laughter. Zoe stepped into the cage, the gate slamming behind her. And facing her tonight, a familiar face to the pit, he's 6'2", 91 kilo, and banned from 3 amateur leagues for unsportsmanlike conduct. "Mad Dog Marcus!" The crowd howled as Marcus entered the cage, shirtless, scars across his chest, a buzz cut, and a mouthful of gold teeth. He didn't wear gloves. "Don't blink," he growled at her. "Round 1. There were no referees here, no rules. Just fists and the cage." Marcus came at her fast, too fast. She dodged left, barely. His elbow grazed her shoulder like a brick. She spun, landed a clean jab to his ribs, but it was like hitting concrete. He laughed. "That all you got, sweetheart?" He grabbed her wrist mid-swing and slammed his forehead into her nose. Pain exploded. Blood gushed. The crowd roared. Zoe stumbled. For a second, everything blurred. Marcus lunged again, but this time she wasn't there. She ducked, dropped to 1 knee, and swept his leg out from under him. He fell hard. Skull against the cage wall. She leapt up and drove her knee into his gut as he tried to rise. 1, 2, 3 hits. He groaned, eyes fluttering. She stepped back. "Let him fall." The crowd screamed. Some booed. Others threw money into the ring. Zoe didn't flinch. She looked up at Adrian. He was no longer smiling. Backstage, her face was a mess. Split lip, blackening eye, blood still trickling from her nose. Marla iced her hand. "1 down," she muttered. "You okay?" Zoe spat blood into a bucket. "I'm better than okay." Marla sighed. "The next one, it's worse." Zoe looked up. "Who?" Marla hesitated. "Rhea." The name hit like a slap. "Wait, Rhea Raines?" Zoe whispered. Marla nodded grimly. "She's his ex-fiancée, the one before you. MMA background, disappeared after a scandal. Adrian's people said she lost it." Zoe's stomach turned. "I thought she moved to Europe." "She didn't. He buried her here, same way he tried to bury you." Fight 2. 1 hour later, the cage opened again. The crowd buzzed louder this time. A new kind of electricity. Rhea stepped into the light, lean, tall, tattoos on both arms, pierced, and brow, calm eyes that looked like they'd seen war. She didn't smile, didn't speak. Zoe stepped in, sore and bruised but burning with clarity. Rhea tilted her head. "You're his type," Zoe tensed. "Used to be. He told me I was crazy, said I ruined his career." "He told me you OD'd," Zoe replied. Rhea's jaw tightened. Then the bell sounded. Round 2 Rhea moved like smoke. Not brute force, precision. She ducked Zoe's jab, landed a clean strike to her ribs. Zoe gasped. Another hit, elbow to temple. Zoe wobbled. "You think you're fighting him," Rhea said, circling. "But you're not. You're fighting us, all of us, all the women he broke." Zoe swung again. Missed. Rhea didn't. Uppercut. Clean. Zoe crashed to her knees. Blood in her mouth. Pain in her chest. Then something clicked. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was liberation. She rose, slowly, face a mess. Vision blurred, but her stance solid. She waited. Rhea charged, and Zoe met her halfway. Hook, elbow, kick. Rhea staggered. Zoe spun, back fist to the jaw. Rhea dropped. Ref didn't count. Crowd screamed. Medics ran in. Zoe turned, head high, chest heaving. Adrian was no longer on the platform. Backstage again, Marla paced. "You won! You bled! That's enough! Let's go!" "No," Zoe said. "He's running," a voice spoke. Behind them. "No, he's not." Both women turned. It was the announcer, pale, nervous. "He's calling you out. Tonight, final match." Zoe blinked. "He's fighting me?" "He never does that," Marla said. "That means he's scared." Zoe nodded. "Then let's end this." Final fight. Adrian versus Zoe. The cage was packed now. Standing room only. Phones out. Money flying. Adrian entered the ring in silence. No hoodie, just trunks, gloves, and that cold shark smile. Zoe stepped in. "You don't look so tough anymore," he said. Zoe smiled. "You look smaller than I remember," he laughed once. "I made you." "No," she said. "You tried to destroy me. That's not the same thing." The crowd didn't cheer. They sensed something real now. Something dangerous. The bell rang. Final. Round Adrian was technical. Clean, fast, cruel. He landed 2 sharp hits in the first 10 seconds. Zoe reeled, but she didn't fall. He circled, smirking. Still soft, Zoe. She breathed, stayed centered. She blocked his next hit, slipped the second, landed a sharp jab to his shoulder. He frowned. Then she moved, really moved. Hook, duck, cross, jab, uppercut. His nose bled. His smile faded. The crowd roared. Adrian lost control, lunged wildly. She saw it, pivoted, right cross to the jaw. He dropped, hard. Ref didn't count. Zoe stood over him. The gym was silent. Marla screamed from the back, "That's my girl!" After the fight, Zoe didn't stay to celebrate. She walked out of the cage, down the stairs, out the door. Marla followed. "Where are you going?" Zoe didn't stop walking. "Home. Wherever that is now." Marla caught up. "You did it. You faced him." Zoe nodded. "But it wasn't just him I was fighting," she said softly. "It was everything he convinced me I was." She looked at the horizon, blood still on her gloves. "And I'm not that girl anymore." 2 days after the fight, her name was everywhere. Woman knocks out 3 fighters in underground cage, including ex. Zoe Lang, real life Rocky or just lucky? Is she the next face of women's combat? Clips of her fights hit 17 million views by Monday. Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram were flooded with her bloodied face, arms raised, eyes blazing. Zoe sat in a quiet cafe, hood up, trying to sip green tea without the bandage on her nose slipping. Marla sat across from her, coffee in one hand, the other scrolling through emails on Zoe's old cracked tablet. "You've got offers," Marla said. Zoe looked up, one brow raised. "Like sponsorships?" Marla leaned in. "Like a contract. Real. Fights, pay-per-view, world stage, clean." Zoe blinked. "Wait, someone wants to put me in a ring legally?" Marla tapped the screen. "More than one, But this one, she spun the tablet around. WCL, Women's Combat League, London. This one's big. 3 weeks later, Zoe was on a plane. She still had a bruise under her left eye and a phantom ache in her ribs, but she'd never felt more alive. Marla sat beside her, flipping through the league's fighter profiles. They've got beasts. Former Olympians, military types. One woman took down a Russian kickboxing champ with her foot broken. Zoe grinned. Good. I want real fighters, not ego puppets who think women can't throw punches. Marla shot her a side glance. Still dreaming about Adrian? Zoe's smile faded. He's done. He had his shot. But part of her knew it wasn't over. Men like Adrian never went away quietly. London was cold and grey, but the gym was pure fire. State-of-the-art. Clean mats. Medical staff, cameras, real coaches. Zoe was introduced as a wild-card contender. The press buzzed. Other fighters stared. Some laughed. She's the cage girl. Tick-tock puncher. She beat 3 people who couldn't spell footwork. But one woman didn't laugh. Her name was Arya Patel, ranked number 2 in the WCL. Fast, technical, quiet as a whisper. You've got war eyes, she said to Zoe after sparring. That's the only thing you can't fake. Zoe smiled. You mean trauma? Arya nodded. Same thing. They became fast allies, training, eating, trading old pain like war medals. For the first time in months, Zoe felt safe, until the package arrived. Unmarked box. No return label. Zoe opened it in her hotel room. Inside, a VHS tape and a note. You think you've escaped him, you haven't. Watch this before your fight, or end up just like her. No signature, just a scratched-out name. Rachia, Zoe's heart. Sank Rhea, the ex-fiancée. The one Adrian destroyed, the one she beat in the cage. She found a thrift store down the block that sold an old VHS player. The cashier didn't ask why her hands were shaking. The video was grainy. At first, it was just Adrian's voice. Calm, sweet, manipulative. He was filming Rhea in a dark room, asking her questions. Do you think you ruined my reputation? Why'd you go to the press? Who paid you to turn on me? Rhea was tied to a chair. She looked broken, thin, hollow-eyed. I didn't, she kept whispering, I just told the truth. Adrian stepped into the frame, slowly. You ruined my career, he hissed. Then the camera cut out. The next scene was black for 10 seconds. Then a woman's scream. The tape ended. Zoe stood frozen. Marla burst into the room 10 minutes later. You're not going to believe this, she said, slamming the door. Believe what? Zoe asked, voice flat. Arya. She's not who she says she is. Zoe frowned. What are you talking about? Marla held up a tablet. I did a deep dive. Arya Patel was in the States 4 months ago, working for... Guess who? Zoe's stomach dropped. No, Marla nodded. Adrian's company, marketing team. She was a brand strategist. Disappeared after a fight with HR. There's chatter she was planted. Zoe stumbled back. But why help me? Why train with me? Marla's face was grim. To get close, to watch you, or worse. Zoe sat down hard. Maybe I'm just paranoid, Marla muttered. But something stinks. Zoe whispered. He's pulling strings again. The night before the championship bout, Arya knocked on Zoe's door. She looked nervous, sweaty. I know what you saw, she said. Zoe didn't move. The tape, Arya nodded. It was real. I helped smuggle it out. Rhea gave it to me before she vanished. Zoe narrowed her eyes. You worked for him. I was forced to, Arya said. Quickly. He said he'd destroy my family if I didn't spy on Rhea. Then she disappeared. Zoe crossed her arms. Why didn't you tell me this sooner? Because I didn't trust you, Arya whispered. You were just another girl he fooled. Zoe stared at her. I'm not just another girl. Arya's voice cracked. Neither was Rhea. Then she turned and left. Fight night. Wembley Arena, 17,000 people. The stadium buzzed. The lights were blinding. The announcer's voice boomed like thunder. Tonight's main event. 2 contenders, 1 title. Aria the Wasp. Patel versus Zoe. No chance, Lang. Backstage, Zoe. The crowd roared with every hit. Aria landed a brutal hook. Zoe dropped 1 knee. From the corner of her eye, she saw him. Adrian, in the front row, glass in hand, smiling. Aria leaned down. He's here. We draw this out. He stays longer. Zoe smirked, then stood. The last round was war. Then, with seconds left, Zoe faked left, spun right, and landed a jaw-shattering uppercut. Aria hit the mat. The ref counted. 10. After the fight, Zoe stood in the ring, belt over her shoulder, lights shining down. Adrian stood, clapping slowly. She looked him in the eye, then pulled the VHS tape from her robe, held it high. The cameras zoomed in. Adrian's face dropped. The crowd saw it, saw him, and then she spoke. This man hurt women. He built a legacy on silence and violence. I won't let him rewrite the story anymore. The crowd erupted. Adrian vanished into the shadows, but not before police began to move toward him. That night, Zoe sat on her hotel balcony. Marla brought out 2 glasses of champagne. Zoe smiled. I didn't win for revenge tonight. Marla raised a brow. No? I won, so the next girl doesn't have to start from the bottom of a cage. A pause. Then Marla asked, What now? Zoe leaned back. Now, I heal. I help. I fight when it matters. Below them, the city moved like a heartbeat, and somewhere in the distance, sirens howled. The police didn't arrest Adrian that night. Despite the crowd, the cameras, and the tape in Zoe's hand, he slipped out before they could cuff him. The evidence was powerful, but not enough. Not yet. Zoe stood in front of the mirror in her hotel suite, freshly showered, her cheek bruised and jaw sore. The championship belt sat on the bed behind her, but it felt heavy, not from weight, from truth. Marla entered quietly. Phone pressed. To her ear. He's gone, she said. Private jet, left Heathrow at 3 a.m. No listed destination. Zoe didn't blink. He's running scared. Marla ended the call. You still want to go public with this? I have to. Zoe turned around, voice steady. I'm not just fighting for a title anymore. I'm fighting for the women who never got to tell their story. 3 days later, the story hit. Marla coordinated everything. Video statements, sworn testimonies, court records, even Ria's recovered journal. The headlines spread like wildfire. Champion fighter accuses. Ex-trainer of abuse, blackmail, and disappearance of woman named Ria. By noon, 3 more women came forward. By midnight, Adrian's sponsors dropped him, but it wasn't over. Zoe knew him too well. Men like Adrian don't fold, they retaliate. That night, her hotel room was broken into. She returned from a short walk to find the door cracked open. Inside, shattered. Lamp, torn clothes, a smashed tablet, her championship belt, gone. On the bathroom mirror, smeared in red lipstick, not your story to tell. She stood there, breath caught, fists clenched, then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Video file. Zoe tapped it. The screen lit up with a dim, grainy image, a woman tied to a chair, shaking, crying. Ria, Zoe whispered. The video cut to black, but a voice came through. Trade the evidence for her. You have 48 hours. Marla paced the room like a lion. This is insane. We go to the cops. No, Zoe said. We won't get her back that way. You're not actually considering meeting him? I'm considering saving a life. Marla slammed her hand against the table. And losing yours? Zoe turned toward her. I didn't come this far to play safe. She grabbed her gym, her bag, and opened the closet. Inside, gloves, wraps, steel-toed boots. She zipped it up. Marla stared at her. What's the plan? Zoe's voice was ice. War. The meeting point, an abandoned gym outside Manchester, midnight. Rats scurried in shadows. Rain pelted the cracked roof. Zoe stepped in alone. She wore her boots, jeans, and a hoodie. No weapons, just a duffel bag. Adrian stood under a flickering light. He looked different, thinner, jittery, eyes hollow, like power was bleeding out of him. Behind him, Rhea, tied to a chair, mouth taped, eyes wild. "Funny," Adrian said, grinning. "You were always the most loyal. Now you're the most dangerous." Zoe tossed the bag onto the floor. "Let her go." Adrian crouched, unzipped the bag. Inside, flash drives, the tape, copies of every file. He grinned. "Smart girl." Then he nodded at the man standing behind Rhea. Zoe hadn't seen him before. He stepped forward, and her blood froze. It was Devon, her old coach, the one who quit after Adrian's rise, the one who told her she'd never make it. "You," she whispered. Devon shrugged. He paid better. Betrayal like knives in her chest. "I trusted you." Devon raised a pistol. "You shouldn't have." But Marla had never trusted him, and she'd followed. From the shadows, a flash, the sound of a taser. Devon dropped like a stone. Marla sprinted in, grabbed Rhea. Adrian lunged for Zoe, screaming. She was ready. Elbow, knee, headbutt. He grabbed a steel bar. Zoe ducked, spun, landed a clean hook to his throat. He gasped, dropped the bar. She grabbed it, slammed it down, not to kill, but enough to end it. Adrian groaned, clutching his ribs. "You were never the fighter," Zoe said coldly. "You were just the fear." Police sirens wailed in the distance. Marla smirked. "Hope he likes cage fights." 6 months later, Zoe walked through a women's self-defense center in Chicago. Her name was on the door, Lang's Fight Back Academy. Inside were girls, teens, mums, survivors, learning to punch, block, breathe. Marla walked in, holding a coffee. "Big night tomorrow," she said. Zoe nodded. "The final hearing," Marla smiled. The final nail in his coffin. Rhea had recovered. She was now the co-director of the non-profit Zoe helped build. Devon turned state's witness. Adrian was facing charges in 3 countries. But that wasn't the win Zoe cherished most. It was this. The girls hitting pads, the women laughing, the broken learning to rebuild. She turned to Marla. "You ever wonder, if it all hadn't gone to hell, who I'd be?" Marla tilted her head. "You'd be quiet, nice, invisible." Zoe grinned. "Exactly. I'd rather be loud and standing." The court hearing was packed. Press, protesters, survivors. Adrian sat in a suit too expensive for someone broke, but his eyes gave it away. Hollow. Finished. Zoe took the stand. Calm. Clear. She told the truth. All of it. When the judge asked if she had a final statement, she nodded, then spoke, eyes scanning every face in the room. "I was humiliated, broken, manipulated. For years, I thought my only worth came from someone else's approval. But I found power in pain. I found sisters in silence. I'm not here because I got lucky. I'm here because I refused to stay down." Silence. Then the gavel. "Guilty." Outside the courtroom, Zoe stepped into the light. Reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed, but she ignored them all. She looked at the crowd. Dozens of girls holding signs. She paved the way. "Fighters are born from fire. Justice for Rhea. No more silence." Tears pricked her eyes, not from pain this time, from peace. Marla appeared beside her. "Where to now?" Zoe smiled. "I heard South Africa has a women's tournament next month." Marla laughed. "Of course, you're addicted." Zoe turned to face the wind. "No, I'm alive. That's different." Final line. "Sometimes you have to be broken in public to rise in private, and when you do, the world hears your roar." The end.